This is Metal Mike, and in this episode, I welcome back the outspoken vocalist from Warrior Soul, Kory Clarke. Kory talks about the new album that's on the way, and we discuss their recent covers album called Cocaine and Other Good Stuff. It's a fun conversation. Check it out. So, Kory, welcome back to the 80's Glam Metalcast, man. How you doing? Good to talk to you again.
Yes, you too. Hasn't been that long, but it's been it's a fairly long time since we spoke last.
Yeah, it's over a year. Time's flying by.
Yeah, it sure is. Seems like things are getting slightly better.
Yeah, I think so. So, I hear that you're working on some new stuff, man. Give us all an update. What do you got going on?
Well, the new record I want to have out. I want it completed by August 20th, but so I can get it out in time for top 10 lists for the year.
Squeeze it right in.
Yeah, but I'm really excited about it. It's a lot of stuff that's been cooking around for 18, 20 months ever since I did some tracking in Chicago in late 2019. So it's following up our covers album that we did last year, Cocaine and Other Good Stuff, and I'm really excited about it. It should be pretty cool.
Now, you guys have always kind of dabbled in, punk, metal, psychedelic stuff. Where's this album leaning?
That's not all.
Right, that's just a taste.
I don't know how to describe it. The opening track is pretty tripped out. It's called We're Alive. Then it gets into sort of a boomy Zeppelin-esque kind of thing, and then there's, I don't know how punky it really is. There's a good smattering of different influences and genres, to be sure. Mm-hmm. But to say anything but it's a Warrior Soul record would be wrong.
Now, it sounds like you said you've been writing for a while now, but have you ever had points where it's kind of dried up, you got no ideas, or are you always writing songs?
You mean every day?
You know what I mean. Do you have dry spells, or are you always writing?
I found it very hard to write this record. Mm-hmm. And every year gets more and more difficult because you don't want to rehash your same stuff.
Right.
And once you've done a lot of stuff, and I wasn't that smart to begin with, so here we go. It's very difficult to write because you got to come up with new stuff all the time. And I don't know if I've done 13 or 14 studio albums, something like that. I mean, besides the other bands I've worked on, like Mob Research and Dirty Rig and Trouble and all that stuff.
Let's talk about Cocaine and Other Good Stuff, because I was jamming on this, man. I really like it. What's the story?
Yeah.
What is this? Was this your childhood playlist, or where did these songs come from?
Yeah, this is my favorite songs. Mm-hmm. That I like to listen to, and what I would turn the radio up for. I mean, certainly American Band. I mean, that's a song that you would, when we're third grade or fourth grade, we'd all run home from school and go to Rick Rutenbar's house because his parents stayed at work till 6, and we would just crank the stereo and call in requests. And just listen to, the only two songs. There was 2 or 3 songs that really did this. Smoke on the Water.
Yep.
And American Band. We all went mental. I don't know what it was.
And these are nasty renditions, and I mean it as a compliment, but these, this is raw stuff, powerful stuff, man. And I was surprised by some of the tunes that made it on there. And in particular is Kiss, because I'm a huge Kiss fan. I did not know that you were into Kiss.
Well, I mean, I think Gene's a dickwad, but I mean, we were into Kiss in Detroit, obviously,
right,
in that 73, 74, 75. But once the Kiss Army started, that was when I was I had to blink and go, whoa, I'm not buying a Kiss sleeping bag. Forget it. I'm not part of your Kiss Army. Kiss my ass. And after that, then you get various different dudes. You get a Wolf guy, an Aardvark guy, whatever else.
Right, that got crazy.
Come on, man. Of course I like Kiss, and especially the Ace Frehley power stuff. That's the greatest.
Oh yeah. So you picked two from the debut album. Is that the one that you prefer? Do you like? Is that your favorite one by Kiss, the debut?
I like the first three.
Mm-hmm.
I think is what I like. I mean, Hotter Than Hell's a bit rough, but Dressed to Kill's fucking cool. I just, anything after that is kind of lick it up, forget it.
Yeah. Yeah, Dressed to Kill, out of those first three, that's probably my favorite. Even though the debut is awesome, and obviously that's songs they play to this day. I like Dressed to Kill because I feel like some of those songs, they're more like deep tracks. Like Room Service, Two Timer, Ladies in Waiting. You don't hear those all the time,
yeah.
and I don't know, they just still seem kind of fresh to me.
Two Timer's hilarious. There's something, they're just sleaze bags. We love them. That during that time period. And you just, the sort of the amateur approach to the playing. I don't know, there's something really cool about it.
Yeah, definitely. And you do Cooper, Elected. I love Alice Cooper as well. I mean, Coop's got a lot of... But once again, Kiss and Alice Cooper, they kind of went all over the place. It's amazing if you look at some of the catalogs of these bands. I mean, a lot of different kinds of styles.
Yeah, I mean, all he cares about is making money, man. But, and he likes to put on his little magic show. That's really the deal, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know, but being an election year and being an important election year, I thought singing Electric would be really good.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And because Warrior Soul's like known as a very politically oriented band against fascism, why not?
Yeah. No, that was an awesome choice. And then one thing that really stood out to me was you did Living After Midnight, and I love how you got Loaded. It's real like nasty and real big. Loaded. That's the one thing you've got to nail on that song. Loaded. Yeah. It's got to be, you got to sound kind of drunk and kind of tired at the same time. It's not that hard for me to do. It comes natural. So when you go, I got to ask you this because I used to play in bands when I was a kid, and I've started getting back into it, and I've been doing actually cover songs with like people all over the world, you know what I mean, like from different countries, and then we just combine the tracks. So doing covers is kind of fresh in my head. So when you approach a cover, obviously, you're an established singer, an established band. What do you go in and say, I'm going to try to give this a touch of Gene Simmons, or do you just say, I'm going Kory Clarke? What happens when you approach these songs?
Well, obviously, some song, it depends on the song, really. Like when we did Outlaw with Motorhead, you don't want to sound like Lemmy.
No.
But you want to sound tough. So I just use my regular voice, and try not to, do too many inflections, because when you're doing a cover, I think one of the important aspects is that it's you singing somebody else's song, not you trying to imitate somebody.
Exactly.
So that's the approach I took on that album. And I think that's how it should be, because my fans want to hear me.
Yep.
They don't want to hear Lemmy necessarily. I mean, they probably love Lemmy. They probably like him a lot better than me. But they want to hear me do that song.
I almost feel like what I noticed is that it's almost impossible really to sound like somebody else, because we're just like, okay, let's say a guitar. You could imitate a guitar because you could get the same amp and the same effect, and you could pretty much replicate what somebody does, but your voice is your voice.
Well, that's true. I mean, but you can do the inflections, obviously.
You can, yes.
Like I can imitate Lemmy pretty good. I can imitate Ozzy pretty good. And David Lee Roth pretty good. But, it's when you're doing those songs, you don't want to sound like them. And it is hard to sound exactly like them, but it's just avoiding the inflections, I think, is what we're looking at then.
And then it's fun because as you get going, and I know you did this because I could hear it, you kind of can change little parts, or maybe you'll hear a harmony that's not there, but you hear it, and so you put it in, or like you said, those inflections, you would inflect it differently, and that stuff's kind of fun too, because it's kind of, you hear it as you get going, you know what I mean? Something that's not really there.
Yeah, well, even at the house here, I mean, we don't usually play Warrior Soul records here, but that record gets on repeat.
I think it's great, man. I think everybody listening to this needs to check that one out, because really, it's just like I said, it's kind of like the the 70s greatest hits of hard rock, and it was done really well, man. Good job.
Man, I really appreciate your review.
Let's go back a little bit to the first album, because I know for me this is I bought the album when it came out, and this is when I got into the band, and I'm trying to think of things that I didn't talk to you about last time, or maybe we just didn't have time to talk about. And one was in conclusion. I think that's my favorite Warrior Soul song. And I think what's so great about it is the lyrics. And like I said, I was just a young kid, but things that were said in it, like think before action, learn before acceptance, kind of questioning things, you know what I mean? And I think as a young person, when where the world was at that point, it was a really good thing to hear. And even funny things that stick out to me today, even when I watch the news or I look at the world, all our leaders answer to silent bosses, you know what I mean? It makes you think, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I meant it to be timeless. Right. That's why I don't mention names. I don't mention political or politicians' names too often in any of my songs, because I want the meaning of the song to remain everlasting. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a flavor of the year or flavor of the month. Although my one line about Donald Trump seems to have worked out pretty well.
No, right? That is kind of funny that it worked out that way. Are there any lyrics that so like, let's say, I mean, shit, we're talking over 30 years ago. Are there some lyrics that you go back to and say like, wow, I don't know if I feel the same way? Or is everything that you did then still spot on the way you feel today? How do you look back at some of your old lyrics?
I think they hold up. Mm-hmm. I purposely tried to make them so that they hold up, like I just said, but no, I stick by what I said, and I'm like I said, I might not be the smartest person, but I can see what's going on. Mm-hmm. It's like I can read between the lines, and I think I was one of probably the only voice of that early '90s time period.
Yeah,
that was in rock that was saying anything about anything. Besides, whatever. I mean, it's just, if you would consider Warrior Soul as part of the Seattle age, or that Northwest, onslaught, we would be the political band from that. Yeah. We would be the political voice of that movement. But for some reason, the press thinks if you're from New York, it's not any good. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, in the early '90s, yeah, you had to be Seattle or you were garbage.
So stupid. But Chris Cornell thought I was good. So.
Yeah, and it's funny, like you make a good point when you think of the bands from Seattle. Not to say that they weren't political to some extent, but it wasn't. If it wasn't direct. You know what I mean? Like a lot of like Kurt Cobain, prime example. I mean, most of his lyrics are really abstract. So if there was something political in there, you'd really have to sit and think about it to figure out what it is.
I think, it was sort of a subtle approach to a political lyric. Mm-hmm. Not like, when Axl just went out and did Civil War, after he talked to me, he's like, how do you put all this political stuff in your song? I go, you just write it. Right. He wrote Civil War after that. Yeah, Cobain's lyrics are very subtle. I think that James Hetfield's would be the closest thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. With his writing, he's pretty political. Really.
Yeah, and I always thought, and I know we talked about this before, but Queensryche brought a lot of that out, even though they kind of tried to hide it in Operation Mindcrime because it's like a story, but there's a lot of political views in that album, and that's why I always loved Queensryche, and I loved Warrior Soul. So when you guys did that tour, I thought that was just freaking awesome. Yeah,
I mean, in my mind, that was really good, and I got along with Jeff Tate really well, and that was, it was pretty interesting. Really good time, actually.
Kory, what happened to some of the original guys that were in the original band? Did they retire, like John Rico and Pete McClanahan? Did those guys retire from music?
John Rico's flying around in private jets as a pilot.
No shit. Wow.
Pete McClanahan went to grow weed with his brother. Okay. On a farm somewhere. I toured with him a few years ago. Just for, a month or so. And he still looks rockin', man. He's still a great bass player. Nice. And he's playing with other bands. Obviously, Mark Evans was murdered.
I read that.
In London in 2005. So, the original guys, they're running around. I can't afford them anymore.
But obviously you're still going, and now, in your opinion, what's the key to longevity in this business? Because I said you've gone a long time. A lot of people have gone away, never to return. What's the key to keeping it going?
Don't have kids.
And they can tie you down a little, right?
They tie you down. I don't know, just being interested in actually doing it. Mm-hmm. I mean, some people just grow up. When I was working with Paul Raven, I go, you ever think about quitting, Paul? And he's like, I'm a lifer. Well, he died about 6 months later, but, he was what I believe that I am a lifer, whereas I never had a reason to stop, really. Mm-hmm. I think I quit for a couple of years just because I was so sick of everybody.
Right.
But then, of course, run out of money, and you got to start working again.
And, like I said, some people, well, like you said, you had John Rico, prime example. Some people find another career path. He's flying a plane, and maybe that's just a more stable, position to be in. I was reading about this one guy. You remember the band Angel? They were like a 70s. Yeah. Grafia, the keyboard player. This guy invented or is building like casino slot machines, and he's like super rich from all this tech that's inside of these slot machines. So it's like, hey, if you navigate into something that makes you a lot of money, why would you go back to playing a bar? You know what I'm trying to say? So I mean, it makes sense. Like, it happens. Sometimes you fall into something that's really lucrative. Why would you go back?
Well, I would like to give being rich a try for once. I think that'd be an interesting thing to work on. But I've come to a conclusion. I mean, well, I've got a great place where I live. I really don't need much. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty happy with what I've got. I got a nice mic. I got my drum kit, my guitars, keyboards, a cat, girlfriend, and I'd like to try being rich for one. That'd be fun. Yeah. But every time I have money, I just spend it all anyway. So I might as well just stay broke.
Well, you made an interesting point. So you got all these instruments. So do you construct the songs pretty much yourself, and then just have the other guys learn what you did? How's your songwriting process work in that respect?
Let's say one of the songs that's going on the record I wrote in the kitchen. Yeah. On the first album I wrote 6 of the songs, but I'm not really a guitar player. I'm a drummer by trade. Mm-hmm. I'm a better drummer than I am a singer, that's for sure. And, I wrote some things on bass, I wrote something on guitar. But for the main things, I either go in the studio with musicians and they crank out the riffs, and then we start to structure things. Or somebody sends me a riff, and I cut it up and give it some meaning. And then we build off of that.
Do you feel that sometimes when let's say when somebody supplies you a riff, that's something that you didn't obviously think of? Does something else come out, like melody and lyric wise, that you probably couldn't produce, without that?
Yeah. Well, of course, when you get something from somebody else, it's going to spur some sort of excitement to create something different. And it's not going to be something that you usually do. So it kind of keeps the whole art process fresh. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate it when the guys send them. I always have them send, like, okay, if you're going to send me a riff, send me 3 parts. Mm-hmm. It's just like a stem, and then I start singing on it, and then, okay, I lengthen one section, I shorten one section, flip sections around, and then it eventually becomes a song.
Do you play around with this stuff like on a computer where like you can chop riffs and move them around and stuff? Do you do this stuff like on an iPad or something?
I'm using Pro Tools, yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I first got Pro Tools in 2000, and I've been working on it for a long time. I still don't really know how to use it that great, mm-hmm. but I can mix, and I can edit, and I can track, and I've done albums. I did the Stoned album, which is something that's released, which is cool. But and just me mixing and mastering. But I do a lot of mixing here. I definitely coach people who are mixing. Mm-hmm. because I mixed a lot of our records anyway. So, yeah, I've got the ability to do a lot of stuff here.
So with the new album, you're expecting it to be out around October, correct?
I'm hoping end of September, but yeah, probably first week of October.
Awesome, man. Well, when you get that going and that comes out, I'll put all the details on my page and everything. Anything you want to say in closing? In conclusion, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, go check out Cocaine and Other Good Stuff, DOA from Van Halen.
Yeah,
They're
that was
up
good.
there on YouTube.
That was good.
And be ready for the new Warrior Soul record.
Yeah. Kory, man, it was great talking with you again, brother.
Great talking to you too, Mike.
Well, that was great talking with Kory again. There's tons of interviews on the way. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And also, I've been rocking out, man. Check out my covers. The recent ones that are on there are Dr. Love and It's My Life. Give them a watch. Rock on!